Okay. Hello. God, the mood right now, the vibe, the setup. If you're watching this on video, if the video even comes out, oh my God, look at my candle in the corner. It's autumn. It's so autumn right now. Very demure, very autumn. I'm sorry. It is in the middle of the day, and I'm recording. I'm recording because I have nothing better to do. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts this morning, so I was like, let's like pull out the microphone because I'm feeling funny, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself to like make you guys laugh, but I'm feeling just like cutesy girly, like I'm just a girl, like I just want to yap and talk. And I have my little blue light glasses on, so it's like, oh, so we're getting down to business. Cool. That's great. Um, you know, I have a coffee. This coffee is from Bluestone Lane. Bluestone Lane is so expensive, and their cold brew is really good, but I don't really recommend just like willingly being like, I'm gonna go to Bluestone Lane and spend $8 on a cold brew. Don't do that. Your girl also has your little Nick, and this, I don't know. My one of my good friends has my pride and joy, like a jewel, and she's my niece, she's my nephew, whatever. And I forgot that I have my own little jaunt, and I don't do it during the day, but it's one of those days where I'm like, I want to be so opposite of what I want to like fully just drink so much caffeine today, shit it all out, and I also want to just have so much Nick in my body. And it's so bad. It's so fucking bad. ASMR. That's actually crazy. Um, if you're friends with me and you have a little vapey pill, I be fiending on that. Anyways, hello everybody. It's Wednesday afternoon, and like I said, I just wanted to record because I feel like I have shit to talk about, and part of me is like, why can't I just talk about the most random things? But that's just not my nature. I just feel like this podcast, this um platform, I sound like a famous person, but this platform I have, this creative space I have, I love discussing things that are just presently important, and it most of the time it has nothing to do with like random shit. It's always some sort of like epiphany I had, and I just like want to dive deep into it. But I'm like, a girl can just yap, but it's like I have nothing to yap about. I do though, and I think I just put so much. Oh my God, this candle, I'm sorry, is so cute. But I don't know, I just feel like I have a lot of stuff to talk about. We are almost in 2025, which is wild. But also, I honestly think this year so far, I have been so in it. I've been so in this year that I am not even realizing that there's a new year approaching. Because here we go again. Time is just a construct, and it's like time is not real, and you just gotta like be here and be now and be in the now, which is true. And that's what has led me to peace. But it is weird when you think about like it's September, October, November, December. That's like 4 months away from 2025. That's kind of crazy. It's just fucking wild. Um, I did record a podcast, or what do I say? An episode? Why do I, God, dude, the coffee and the Nick, it's like making my stomach like, yo, you gotta go to the bathroom. Um, anyways, Oh, yeah. I recorded an episode last week, and I don't know if I uploaded it or not. I'm going to be honest, but I talked about synchronization and the whole, I guess, concept of synchronicities and how you can, the moving is crazy, how you can apply it to your life and how to notice it, so on and so forth. I actually don't know if I'm ever going to upload it, and if it is uploaded, that's awesome, but basically, I talked in the beginning about, I think I did, about how it was my birthday a couple weeks ago. And I'm now 23. And can I just tell you, when you actually like allow yourself to feel a shift, you feel the shift. You feel a shift. And can I be so fucking honest with y'all? Like, immediately, like, once I had my, like, the day of my birthday, once I knew I was 23, a year older, and I think I was just reflecting a lot prior to my birthday. So then when my birthday actually came, it did feel like a shift. I did feel like in some way I gained more maturity, gained more consciousness about things. And I'm also not gonna lie, I mean, I don't do people care enough, but like I did chop my hair off. And guys, when I tell you, I felt an immediate energy shift once I cut my hair off. And everything that you hear where it's like, once you just like do something scary when you know you should be doing it, and once you do something scary and then you actually feel the freedom with it, it is such an energy shift. Like, I can say so confidently that once I chopped my hair off, the past version of myself, the past version of Maddy with long hair, like, I just didn't recognize her anymore. Like, of course I'm still me with my little quirks and like I'm still fucking me, but there was something like different that happened when I chopped my hair off. And I explained this to a friend. I can't get comfortable. Me and my croissant pillow. If you're watching this on a video, look at how cute this fucking croissant pillow is. Like, you're kidding. Oh my God. Anyways, I was saying this to like, I think it was on my Snapchat story or something, but like, like, it just felt weird with my bob versus not, like the Maddy with the long hair, because the people that I even surrounded myself with when I had long hair, I just felt like I didn't, like, some people I just didn't want to surround myself with them anymore. And it's so weird to explain. I don't know, it's like even the people that I've liked in the past romantically, I'm like, Bob Maddy would never like them because I just felt in my power. And I think that was a big thing. Like, I immediately felt like I was choosing my own feminine energy and my own trajectory going forward of like how I present myself physically, which is in some, like, my idealized hottest version of myself always was this long hair Maddy that had voluptuous hair, and it was just like in the wind blowing, and like it gave that. My long hair gave that, and it was beautiful. But it was also so circled and surrounded by the male gaze that once I cut my hair off, I was like, I don't know, like, I just felt a shift. I no longer like wanted or felt like I needed approval from men. And I will say, it's been testing me, and I can talk about that. And if anyone out there has had similar feelings, just know that you're not alone, because it's also true. It's like when you ask the universe for something, it's going to give it to you in a way where it's going to test you in some sort. So it's like, all right, I want to chop my hair off because I want to get rid of this fucking idea that the hottest version of myself is with long hair because men think that's the hottest, right? So that's why I cut my hair. And boy, I was like even tested with it honestly, the next day. I had like an experience where it was with a guy and he kind of, I mean, he fully just embarrassed me and made, and I guess, it's like how I handled it or like how I took it. It's like, first off, it's inexcusable for kind of how that situation occurred. I felt very embarrassed about the fact that I just chopped all my hair off, and it literally was, it was the prime example of why I did this, because this occurrence that happened, not occurrence, sorry, this experience that happened literally was about like the fact that I just didn't look as hot anymore. And it was literally the like a few days after I got my hair cut. I'm like, this is why I got it. So we're being tested right now. So how are we feeling about it? And it took me like a day or two to really just honor myself and honor the fact that like this decision was the best decision I could have ever done. And honestly, I've noticed like I really feel so beautiful and magnetic with this short hair that the ego in me sometimes is like, you're ugly with this bob because you look like 35, you look like a mother. And but knowing deep down I feel so beautiful and just so like me, it's just crazy. And yeah, basically all in all, if you feel like you want to chop your hair, or if you feel like you want to dye your hair, and it is for a reason that is beyond trying to prove to others that like you're going to be more hot. And that's the other thing. It's like, I used to do wicked things to my hair. I was like known for always changing my hair because it was fun, and I love that about myself. However, I always had that underlayer knowing intention that, oh, this is gonna make me look hotter to the male gaze, or this is gonna make me look hotter to, or this is gonna make me look gayer too. Like, oh, like the girls are gonna fucking love less. But like, I never really even thought about myself if I even wanted purple hair. I did look good with purple hair. But like, this cut that I just made was so my decision in every possible fucking way that it's just made it so freeing. I really don't, in this moment, I really don't give a fuck if I am like the hottest person in the room. And I used to give so many fucks about that. First off, being the hottest person in the room to me is defined by your confidence, and not cockiness, but confidence. If you are confident and first off, bobs are fucking hot. And that's like not what I'm like. If I am making it sound like only long hair people are hot, like that is the farthest thing that I mean. I just mean for me and my like, in my idea of the hottest version of Maddy, it was always long hair. And I know you guys understand that was my intention. But I used to always try and be the hottest person in the room. And now I don't really care about that, because also I know it's rooted in confidence. If I walk into a room and I have confidence just in myself and who I am, I'm going to be fucking hot. Whether I have the longest hair or a fucking pixie cut or my fucking head is shaved off. Like, it's just all confidence. And I guess that's what we're wrapping it up on, is I think I just have confidence now in this short hair of mine that I don't need anyone's fucking approval if they think I look hot or not. I know I'm gorgeous. Period. Oh my God. I love when I get passionate about stuff. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. Okay. I'm supposed to be working, and I am, but it's like really slow, so I just have my work computer. But anyway, so that's kind of what's been happening the past month is birthday. I feel like I leveled up a little bit in maturity, or just, I don't know, like just in life. Like, I'm 23 now. I know that's still fucking young, but 23, let's fucking go. And then I cut my hair off and I'm loving it. I really do. Like, I really love it. I don't know. It's just so cute. What else? I kind of wanted to talk about intuition and how to like spot intuition. And by no means am I an expert, because I'm learning this. Like, I am learning this firsthand every single day. But you know me, it's been on my mind, so I have to yap about it. And hopefully this can help someone and maybe open some eyes. But I wanted to speak on intuition because I think following your gut and really following your gut and having the discernment of either, is it this an intuition? Is this an intuitive feeling? Or is this my anxiety? Or is this my mind telling me, can be really, really hard to discern. And it can be really powerful once you kind of start recognizing the difference. And I feel like that's been a theme of practice for me. Honestly, my entire life, I remember even being like a kid and having like being riddled with anxiety my entire life and having my nervous system be so irregulated my entire life. I also was always so intrigued with the fact of like the idea of following your gut. Like, you hear people like follow your gut, follow your intuition, and I just always remember growing up. That's crazy. And even now, that's my cat toy. Stop it. And even now, just being so interested in just the feeling that you get when you follow an intuitive feeling, whether it can be something so fucking small or something very massive that changes the trajectory of your life sometimes, it's just so fascinating to me. Because I think I operated the majority of my life based off of anxiety and decision making based off of my anxiety, and people pleasing as well, and like fully ignoring what my body was telling me and going with what my like mind and anxiety was convincing of me, right? So I feel like that's been the theme practice of my entire life, just like trying to notice the subtle whispers and hints of go this way, or go into that store, go into that coffee shop, or talk to this person. And I listened to a podcast from a social scientist, Martha Beck. I also talked about her in the synchronization episode, which again, I don't know if it uploaded, but she is one of my favorite newfound like scientists, I guess, but like she's also a life coach, and she's a psychologist and all forms of science-y, but she's very connected to mind, body, and spirit as well. So it's so up my alley. And she is so wise, and she has lived so much life that I know the words that she says are so truthful and out of full integrity of herself. So my point is that I listened to a podcast on intuition from her, and everything she said just made so much sense to me, and it really struck me because I think it's such a beautiful thing when we are able to know the difference between anxiety and our intuition. And if you're like, okay, so how do you know what is intuition, and like what even is your intuition? How do you like, what even is your gut feeling and stuff? I always say to my friends, like, I love saying to my friends, like, follow your gut. What is your gut saying? And I know it's so fucking simple because then it's just like, well, I don't fucking know. But the easy way to put it, your gut, if I'm like, follow your gut, what is your gut saying? It's the first immediate, like, thought, I think, in a very simple term. Like, if we're at a restaurant and we're looking at the menu and it's just like, oh, I don't know what to get. Like, oh, there's so many things I want. I'm normally like, just follow your gut. What does it say? It's the first initial thing you think of. That's kind of a very simple and perfect way to follow your intuition in that moment. Because more than likely, you wanted that cheeseburger from the fucking start. You thought about it, but then once you looked at the menu, you're like, oh my God, but look at those chicken tacos. Look at this and that. But overall, you wanted that cheeseburger from the start. You should get that cheeseburger. And it's not like your life's going to fall apart if you get a chicken taco. However, if you want to like start following those intuitive insights where it just seems so minor, but the more you do the minor things, the more you're going to hear the bigger whispers. And keyword whisper. Your intuition never yells. Start with those little things where it's like, I wanted a cheeseburger, so I'm going to get that cheeseburger. I'm going to get it. And if it's not good, I don't know what to tell you, but at least you know you kind of followed what initially you were wanting. And it's those little things. And I feel like that's a very simplified way to be like, follow your gut, or even, you hear all the time if it's like, if you're driving and for some reason you want to go like the scenic route and you just kind of do it, you don't even think about it, that's your intuition, 100%. And even if nothing comes out of it, even if you have like the most regular drive of your life, you still followed like that just action of, I'm going to go this way instead. Because then we can get into the fact of, well, I don't know, because if you went the other way and you convinced yourself the other way is better, who knows, you might be then landed in traffic. Intuition. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by my work real quick. I hate when work interrupts me. I'm in a podcast right now. You can't interrupt me. That's fucking rude. Okay, I'm back. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So, it's crazy. I've had many little moments where I got like a whisper, or just another thing I want to touch base on before I get into an example is that what does it feel like when you know it's your intuition? And I'm going to bring up one of my favorite quotes that really, it just helps me. It helps me like discern when I have moments where I'm like, is this anxiety or is this my intuition? I have a quote that I just love to remember because it helps, and this kind of helps, differentiate the idea of anxiety and like intuition, like which one, like what's the answer? First off, if you're kind of like what's the answer or trying to justify, that's anxiety. So anxiety likes to convince and justify your reason. Intuition knows and doesn't need an explanation. And that's something that helps me, that when I'm like, if it's a decision even of like, I don't know, it involves with putting your energy in something that you don't know if it's something that you're supposed to do or not supposed to do. If you notice yourself trying to justify your reasons for doing it, more than like that's anxiety, or that's like not your intuition. However you want to call it, that's not a gut feeling. If it's trying to like convince you that you should do something, and it's trying to like justify and like make up scenarios on how that could be the reason, that's not your intuition. Your intuition just knows, and it doesn't need an explanation, and it doesn't it feels like everything but nothing. And I'm going to explain it like that because I've had moments where I just know, because there's no attachment to emotion with it. It's like I don't even try and question it. It's like even if I try and question it in some ways, it's like I can't even justify it because I just know. And I really wish I had like examples of this. I just, you got to trust me on it that I do. But the best way I can kind of describe it is sometimes I've had moments where there have been certain restaurants, there have been certain places, stores that I had this feeling, this knowing that it was going to be important to me. And it's so fucking weird and just like nuanced to explain it. But I've had places and locations that I just know, like, that's going to be important. And it's so weird to explain, but like, I've had many restaurants where it's like that, where it just turns out to be a favorite restaurant of mine, or it turns out to be a place where there could be so much lore to it. But there was like, I could give examples, but just locations I think were big for me because it was like this knowing that this is going to be important. I don't know how, and I'm not going to try and justify it, and I'm not going to try and put a timeline on it, but I know that that coffee shop I walk past every day that I haven't gone into yet, but I walk past it and I know something. It's just there. Is that a weird example? I don't know. And I feel like I'm not the only one. If you, like, have you ever walked past a certain place that you haven't even been to, but you walk past it frequently, you drive past it frequently, and there's a reason why you look at it so much, or there's a reason why you think about it when you pass it, and it's just like, that could be something. You still never do it, but then that one day or that one time that you do go into it, either maybe something happens or you get like if it's a coffee shop, you get a really good fucking coffee and you start going there frequently, and then maybe you meet someone, you meet a friend. Like, it's just those little, I feel like that's like an example, and I've had many of those. I truly have, even with some jobs that I've had. I'm trying to think though, like a specific one. I feel like there was like a certain job. You know what it was? One of my first coffee shops I've ever worked at, and I was there for a very long time, and that was a very significant coffee shop because just a lot of my life happened in that coffee shop. Okay, I don't, no explanation needed besides it was such a small coffee shop that I just feel like so much of my life drama, even good shit, has happened in that coffee shop. But anyways, I remember. I remember wanting to get out of the current job that I was in, which was in a retail store. And I'm trying to remember. Fuck. I wish I remember specifics, but in some way, I had a feeling about this coffee shop, and I reached out to them, or reached out to this manager, and it was so natural of how I got this job at the perfect time, where apparently like a barista left and then they were looking for someone, and it was so swift and so easy for me to just like kind of plop right in, because I remember intuitively knowing that that place was going to be important to me. And I remember that. I really do, because where that neighborhood was with the coffee shop, I was there constantly because one of my friends lived there. And I was so gravitated towards that coffee shop randomly. And it was like that knowing of that place is going to be important. And it ended up being very significant. What other places have I worked? I don't know. my friends used to call me Trish from Austin and Ally, like Trish, her character, how she always got a new job every day. Like that was literally me. Okay, but intuition, it doesn't yell. That's the other thing that I really love to remind myself. If it feels like it's yelling at me, or again, it's trying to convince me, it's not my intuition. It's not my gut. It whispers. It whispers, and you can, if you're aware of it and you notice it and you allow yourself to notice it and you trust yourself and you just follow it, that whisper becomes a very, very loud whisper. But I like how I say loud whisper because it never becomes like loud to the point where you feel so scrambled about decision making and you're like, is this what my gut is telling me? I don't know. But like, no, that's just your anxiety. Because if you're like really getting fed up with which way to go, you're now just like controlled by your anxiety and mind. But yeah, intuition, it whispers, or it never yells. It never tries to convince. It just knows. And when I feel like when you like actively go against what your body is telling you, aka your intuition, because I think when you follow your gut, it's all body sourced, it's all heart sourced, and it's not from the mind. When you actively go against it, because maybe that is all you're just so used to going against what your body is telling you. I could say that very confidently that for again, the majority of my life, I based so many of my decisions based off of anxiety and how I could, one, just fucking avoid conflict, but two, I didn't give a fuck if my body was clearly telling me this is not what you should be doing. And when I say clearly telling me, I'm saying like my body got physical in telling me this is not what you should be doing, and you're actively not listening to it. It can start to, it starts to manifest into like, it can start to become unhealthy, and you're starting to find yourself in situations that you knew all of this time it wasn't gonna work, or you know what I mean? And a lot of that occurred in my life when it came to friendships, when it came to relationships with people, and my gut. And again, I'm a small little being, so it's like I don't expect myself to like fully know the discernment of it, at age 15. But when I look back, I really was operating on this fight or flight mode, not listening to what my intuition was telling me. And it really became physical to the sense where it would cause panic attacks, or it would just cause my body to like get really physical. I don't know, like when I would surround myself with people that would only drain my energy, and it was clear to the fact that, if I was looking at it from a bird's eye view, I shouldn't have been friends with this person, or I shouldn't have given this much energy romantically to this person, because so on and so forth. Like, it's just not aligned. It's not going to work. Even though intuitively I knew that, but I still went ahead, because the hope really got me, or the potential really got me. But I would notice that my body would start to physically react when I would, have to have possibly conversations with, like, deep conversations with them, not even deep, or just like hard conversations with them, where it would there would be conflict, and I just knew, period, that my energy was not supposed to be like this easily accessible for them. So my body would start to react. It would shake. My knees would fucking shake like a fucking scared little dog. My heart would beat really fast. And I could just, like, it was such a clear answer. Like, sometimes it's, like, yes, it could be a whisper and it never yells. But sometimes it really does, like, really put it in your face, your gut. Put it in your face and say, like, hello, like, you're not supposed to be with this person. I don't know. That's one of the biggest things that I've been really learning this past year is, like, how is my body reacting to certain people? You know, I am starting to really only surround myself with energies that bring out the softness in me and not the survival in me. But it's been so common all of my life to just, like, be surrounded by energies that bring out the survival in me. And when it was just so clearly the answer, even this knowing of you are not supposed to be surrounded by them. Like, you should not have this much access to this person. They should not have this much access to you. Overall, it just gets it got physical for me, where I was actively, like, the answer was right in front of me. The knowing was so knowing, I still, like, decided to ignore it. And then when you decide to ignore it, which is okay, it is okay at the end of the day, give yourself grace. But when you decide to ignore it, more than likely, it will eventually not, it's just like women's intuition. You know from the fucking beginning if this guy or this relationship is gonna work. I'm sorry, but the women's intuition is crazy. You know, right? And people and women stay in these toxic relationships because they want to ignore it, because they want to prove to themselves that, like, their knowing is just, maybe, like, they convince themselves, like, oh, it's just my anxiety, like, telling me to, like, not go forward with this guy, when all in all, it's actually just your intuition being like, this is not going to work, babe. But you know what? It's okay. We're going to find out. We're going to just learn it the hard way. There is an example I want to say, and it had to do with a car. Okay. I was in the back seat with my best friends, and one of my best friends was driving. My kitty is so cute. One of my best friends was driving, and we were at this stoplight, and we were going straight. And all of a sudden, dude, I feel this cold ass air, like wind, sweep my back. And it made me, like, really conscious in the moment, because I could have been thinking about something, looking out the window. All of a sudden, I feel this, like, cold air. The AC wasn't on. I don't even know. That's not the point. It's like, I obviously knew that it was something that just, like, woke me up, where I was like, okay, be alert right now. I didn't say anything to anyone because I was just more of like, okay, that was weird, but I'm going to be alert. Turns green. We go straight. And my little driver bestie, she didn't notice this really fast car coming our way. And in that moment, I was the only one. Everyone else was just kind of, like, doing their thing. We were doing everything fine in the like, safe and legal in the driving aspect. However, cars come out of nowhere. So since I was alert in that moment, I saw this very fast car, and she didn't. And I was like, Kate, look out for this car that's coming. And I knew in that moment that wind I had was there for me to be alert enough to stop us from getting into a car crash. Dead on my life, if I didn't say anything, there would have been a crash, period. And it wasn't like a scary moment, but it was a moment where I noticed it before I think it got possibly very scary, where she would have had to like put the brakes on and we would have all screamed. But like I caught it before where it was like, watch out, and then we didn't die. And that's an example of my intuition, because I knew in that moment of whatever this sign signal was to be alert, that I didn't freak out from it. I just knew in my gut, I have to be alert right now in this moment, whatever happens. And there happened to be a really fucking fast car, and we could have gotten into a car accident. Alas, I saved our lives. So that's one example that really comes to mind, because it was just so clearly like a weird, like supernatural thing that happened. And yeah, so that's one. So isn't that crazy, guys? Intuition is just wild. And I think how you can apply it in your daily life is even the little things of your daily tasks. Like, if you had to stop in this moment, actually center yourself and be like, does my body need anything? And like possibly even if you're cold, just say you're like cold, and you take a second, and just this knowing of, I'm going to go put on socks. Like, I should go put on socks. Go put on socks. You take a moment. You center yourself. Eat. Something just feels like you have to eat. But eating is interesting, because it's like, we really just, as a society, as humans, whatever, the whole food conversation, or even just like drinking water, how fucking important that is to drink water. It's like we want to like push it off as much as we can, or we're like, no, we're fine, when we're like ignoring our basic survival needs. But even just like being hungry, you take a moment, center yourself. I could eat. Go eat. Like those little things. If you live in the city where you walk a lot, I do this all the time. When I'm coming home from a late shift at work, I really try and be aware of this. When I'm walking, I really try and follow where my gut is telling me to walk. And when I get moments where I'm like starting to overthink, of being like, oh my God, am I going to go down this road or this road? That's when I know I'm like, okay, I'm thinking too hard. Just follow, or just go down a street or something. But there are moments when I'm like walking home from a late shift, and I already know intuitively what route I'm going to take, because I take different routes. I already intuitively know what route I'm going to take. I take that route, and I just feel more confident in myself in doing that. What are some other things? Having a conversation with someone, or talking to someone. Oh, I have another example of this. This seems to happen in my hometown a lot. It's interesting. But I was in my hometown a couple months ago. I was at a grocery store, and I saw this guy that looked so fucking familiar. And it's like, I knew him from high school, but I'm like, what class was he in? I don't even know. That's not the point. My point is that my gut, I knew in that moment I'm supposed to go talk to him. It could have been, and I found out he was in my freshman French class, and he knew. And when I talked to him, he knew my name, which I was like, was I that memorable? Like ninth grade French class? Like, I thought I was fucking ugly. But I remember when I saw him, I was like, in my mind, I was like, that man looks so familiar. But I had this knowing, go talk to him. It's just like it was so random, because if I see someone from high school, even in the city or in my hometown, I'm not talking to you. Sorry. Unless you were like someone I had a crush on, or like a friend I had, I'll probably talk to you on that, because also in some way I want my high school crushes to see me now and be like, this is what you missed out on. But if it's just some rando, like, I'm not going to talk to you. I mean, like, if you come up to me, I'll be like, hey, but there was something about that specific guy where I was just like, go talk to him. So I was scared for a little, like, because I was with a friend too. And I was like, I'm not going to go talk to him. But there was like that feeling, there was that knowing where it's like, you're going to talk to him. You're going to. And I noticed myself trying to like go around the grocery store aisles, hoping, I think as well, that I would see him so I could have the opportunity to talk to him. Because I remember I was nervous in the beginning, but again, my intuition just knew that I was going to talk to him, that I was like, okay, when is it going to happen? So he walks past me again, and I said, I was like, I know you from somewhere. And I remember I pointed at him, and we ended up having like a lovely conversation, and nothing miraculous in that moment happened where it was like, you know, it was just more of like, I don't know, maybe that conversation like gave him some sort of joy that night. It gave me some sort of joy that night because I was like, oh my God, freshman year, French class, like, you remember me and I remember you. And I think in some way we shared like a sort of like, oh, look at where the time has passed, but like, look at how important at the end of the day, people really leave imprints on you. And the fact that in no way was he really significant to me in freshman year, but I do remember him being a really kind guy in class. And I remember also telling him that in that conversation. I was like, I just remember you being so nice. And his name was David. Yeah, his name was David. And he remembered me so easily, which I was like, that's crazy. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I think I remember being loud with my friends in French class. But that was a moment as well where I just knew I'm talking to this guy. I recognize him. I don't know what's going to happen. I just recognize him so hard that I need to know where he's from, and I just need to talk to him. And I did. And, I mean, that was that, obviously. But yeah, dude. It's difficult to, I'll end it on here because I have to go back to work. But overall, it is like a very nuanced and complex thing to try and analyze your intuition. But I think that's what's contradictory of it, where it's like you can like it is so complex that it's not complex. You know, it's so complex that it's not, because it's such a wild, magical, spiritual, energetically cool thing that we have like a source in us where if we follow our intuition, it is because it is on our side, in a sense. Like, if you want to view it just how the universe is on our side, your intuition is on your side, right? And in some ways, I wish I could just like spill this lore, but I can't. Like, I can't. But like, in some ways, following my intuition and just doing it, and it's gonna sound so, because I want to give an example, but like, it's too much lore. It's too much lore. It's too close to home to like say it on an episode. But sometimes it leads to chaos, or to like lots of jumbledness that then eventually leads to also like self-transformation. And I want to give an example. Like, I have an experience where intuitively I knew that something, and I'm just going to say something, was going to be very important, or there was a reason why I was gravitated towards this something. And I eventually acted on this something, and it then eventually led to like lots of chaos and lots of lore and lots of like really cool experiences, but also lots of like just chaos. And then it eventually led to a lot of self work and like introspective work. And, you know, in the midst of the chaos, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have followed this something. But in the beginning, I didn't feel any, you know, anxiety of trying to justify to not do it. It was very clear in the beginning to act on this something, which then led to, you know, some chaos to happen. But overall, looking back, I'm like, look at what it has offered for me. Lots of internal growth that I've learned about myself. So yeah, it's a very complex thing because it's not complex. It's a knowing, and once you start identifying it, it can make decision making so loose and fun and easy. And when I say easy, I just mean like when you put trust in your intuition, even if it's like something you don't want to do and you trust your intuition, it's going to benefit you. It really is. It really is. And it doesn't mean that there's like I said, doesn't mean that it's always just going to be this seamless, natural, like everything is just so joyous from this like intuitive decision you made. But you, at least you know that you're following your intuition at the end of the day, and it's gonna lead to only benefit you, really, like honestly. And I wish I could talk more, but I forgot that I'm a corporate slave. So yeah, I mean, thanks so much for listening, and I really appreciate you coming here. And yeah, I want to take a moment. I want to I've been thinking about that at the end of each episode, I want to offer a meditation to whoever is still listening. And if you feel uncomfortable by it, you have every mean necessary to be like, okay, peace out. But also I'm offering you to maybe kind of go out of your comfort zone. If you've never really meditated or just like focused on your breath, if you feel uncomfortable, let that be an intuitive way, an intuitive whisper to be like, let's stay on. So I don't know. I'm going to offer a little meditation if you want to do that. So if we want to close our eyes, we just want to take a big deep breath. We're just going to do 5 breaths, okay? This doesn't have to be fucking crazy. But just sit where you are. If you're standing, if you're running, if you're driving, just really focus on the act of what you're doing. Focus on what it feels like. Like, where are your feet? What does the bottom of your feet feel like? Where are your legs? What do your legs feel like? And see if you can feel the static energy in your body. And don't think too hard about it. Feel the fuzzy feeling. And if you don't feel anything, that's so okay. Now take a deep breath in. And what does that feel like? What's the temperature? Hold it in and then release. What does your chest feel like? What's the pressure? Another breath. What does it sound like to breathe out? And do that 3 more times. What do you smell? Is there any tinglings randomly in your arms or your feet? Notice it. What are you hearing? See if you can feel your heartbeat or hear your heartbeat. Don't think about it too much. Just notice it. And then open your eyes. Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this, and it'd be great if you could rate this podcast episode wherever you're listening, or if you're watching, give a little like, comment down below your thoughts. I love a good conversation. I love talking to other people. Sometimes I really don't just like talking to myself in front of a camera. I actually love having conversation with people. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a fabulous day. You are beautiful. You are love. It is your birthright to deserve so much love. That is a birthright. That is not something you have to earn. Please remember that. And I hope everyone has a fucking fabulous day. This is Take with the Grain of Salt. All right. Take everything with the grain of salt. Okay. Bye.